There is a hustle going on, for lack of a better word, among some of the biggest technology organizations on planet Earth. I call it the Wikipedia hustle. But really, they're not the only offender. What it is these big organizations, open source, open ideas, very, very profound and uplifting and inspiring organizations that take donations from people like me and people like you, and then turn around and use that money on anything but what we gave them the money for. And I want to talk about that today because it really ticks me off. This is the Lunduke Journal of Technology podcast for Monday, what's the date? August 21st in the year of our Lord 2023. So I just published, I'm not going to rehash everything, but I just published my the Wiki Piggy Bank article. If you haven't read it, just pause the show and go read that article first so you know all of what we're talking about. But in a nutshell, it is this. Wikipedia says, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. I need $5 or we're going to die. And then they give you a guilt trip because they're like, $5, that's the cost of a cup of coffee. If you drink coffee today, Wikipedia servers will turn off, gall darn it. And I'm like, okay, all right, maybe they're in dire straits. So I looked into it. Turns out, no. Not only are they not in dire straits, not only do they have enough money to run in the bank, in cash, to run Wikipedia for a long time. I mean, a long time. But they don't even use a lot of those funds on anything Wikipedia related. It's like on political causes and these weird endowment funds that seem like they're just going to more political cause, and it's just like, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up to pay $5 or however much to help support an unbiased, neutral, open, wiki-based encyclopedia, right? That's the whole idea of Wikipedia. I've given money to Wikipedia in the past. I mean, it's been a long time because they've gotten a little shady over the last several years. But, well, gosh darn it, it's a good idea. It's at least worth thinking about, worth pondering on, worth playing around with. I've referenced Wikipedia so many times in various articles, it sometimes is really handy. And it kind of irks me that they pull a fast one on us. They spend more money on almost everything than they do on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is like the smallest line item of all of Wikimedia. It's not even a joke. It's ridiculous. Go look at the chart. Go look at the chart I put in that article, in the Wiki Piggy Bank article. At the very bottom, I want to say it's like a green color, I put in the server and hosting costs. And that includes all the hardware, all the software, the co-locating, the internet connection and bandwidth, and the work that they do around it and all that sort of stuff. All of it. Keeping the site up and running, that's the cost. And it is like barely on the chart. And all the other stuff, including their net assets, are just skyrocketing. That's ridiculous. Now, I don't begrudge any company, any foundation even, for having massive success. Go for it. You know what? Earn a huge profit. Sack away money for a rainy day. I'm all for that. But I don't like it when they turn around and they use those funds on things that are not related to what I donated for. Another great example is the Linux Foundation. If you donate money to the Linux Foundation, and more people know this now because I've harped on it for several years and they haven't changed this, I don't believe. But when you donate money as an individual to the Linux Foundation, that money does not go towards Linux. Not a small part of it goes towards Linux, and the rest goes zero. If you donate $1,000 to the Linux Foundation, not one penny of it goes to Linux. That's not a joke. And like, but they have to. They even made a statement. I harped on them and harped on them and harped on them, and they have a little thing on their website and that says, yeah, okay, that doesn't go towards Linux. It goes to like social projects and equity and inclusion initiatives and things like that. But it doesn't go to and those things might be, you might love those things, right? I'm not gonna judge someone else's what someone wants to donate their money to. But when I donate to the Linux Foundation, I darn well expect that money's going towards Linux, right? It's like with Mozilla and Firefox. Realistically, what do you think of when you think of Mozilla? You think of Firefox, the web browser, because that's their cash cow. That's what they do. That's like their everything, right? But if you donate, and you can, to Mozilla, most of that money is not going anywhere near Firefox. And I've dug into both of these foundations in depth in other pieces. If you haven't read them, go read those. They're fantastic articles. They're the best gosh darn articles ever written. Anyway, it's just frustrating. Right? And again, even those three organizations, Wikimedia, Mozilla, and the Linux Foundation, they're big examples and they're like prominent examples, but they're really not alone. And it's a bait and switch. It's a hustle that is not okay, right? Like if the Wikimedia Foundation was simply bad at managing their money, right? Like they had a lot of overhead and they had too much administration going on. It would be annoying, and I would want them to fix their books and streamline their organization and all that sort of thing so that the money can be better and more effectively used. But that's not the issue. The issue is that they're purposefully, and all three of these organizations are the same, they're purposefully taking the money that people thought, I'm going to donate to Firefox or Linux or Wikipedia, which are all, in my mind, reasonably noble things to donate to. They're taking that money and they're not putting it into those projects. So what the heck? It doesn't matter to me. Okay. Let's say I go to the Linux Foundation and I donate $500 to Linux. If the Linux Foundation then turned around and gave $499 to, let's say, a pet shelter for saving dogs. Well, you know what? I like saving dogs. I love dogs. So like, am I opposed to saving dogs? No. Have I donated to pet shelters in the past? Yes. Would I applaud Linux Foundation for also loving dogs? Yes. But that's not what I donated the money for. I donated it for Linux. Stop giving it to puppies. You know what I mean? It's like, give it to what your thing is. Focus on your core. And most importantly of all, stop being so friggin' deceptive. Intentionally deceptive. Intentionally deceptive. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Before I go any further, I want to say that this episode of the Lunduke Journal of Technology podcast is made free for the whole world to listen to, courtesy of Martin. That's right. We're trying out a new thing here where people can basically sponsor an episode. We don't do advertising. We don't do no big tech sponsorships, but individual listeners can help offset our costs by inserting a message, a non-commercial message into the show. And Martin has stepped up. He's the first one to try this. So good on you, Martin. And Martin says, and I got to applaud Martin, because Martin, part of the whole deal is you toss me some cash, and it allows me to be able to afford to make the episodes free for everyone instead of exclusive for subscribers. Because the exclusive episodes, they help people get convinced that, okay, yeah, I'm motivated to go subscribe because I want to listen to the shows, right? And if I make them all free, less people do that. Well, if people toss me a few bucks for the show, then I can afford to make it all free for everyone. So Martin stepped up to do this first one. Thank you, Martin. And here's the message Martin wants to send to all of you. I must applaud Martin for this, because this is the most on-point message I could have possibly hoped and dreamed for the first time of trying this. Martin's message is all lowercase and has 0 punctuation. God bless you, Martin. It reads as follows. Not kidding. BTW, I run Arch. Nice job, Martin. You got it in there right away. He didn't see, he could have risked it. He could have done a later episode and someone could have beaten him to that message. But no, Martin was a man and he got and he gave the BT dub I run Arch right out of the gate. So good on you. And kudos for the all lowercase and no use of punctuation, Martin. That was fantastic. So if you want to sponsor episodes, future episodes, past episodes, go to lunduke.locals.com and there's a post in there about it. Find that post. I don't have a link or anything. I'm too lazy for that. Find that post or find when I post another post about it and there'll be more details in there. All right, let's continue. So going forward, I've talked about this hustle that they've been doing, that the Linux Foundation and Mozilla and Wikipedia, and I've also done a little bit of a dive into an organization that doesn't do this. So it's not like this is every organization on the planet, like GNOME. The GNOME project, oh my gosh, the folks behind the GNOME desktop and all the software that goes along with it, they account for like every penny that they spend. They are frugal as heck. Their salaries, when there are even salaries, are minuscule, are less than you would get in a low paying job market. I mean, I am impressed. I feel like after seeing that, it makes me hope that the GNOME Foundation gets more money, because if they can pull off what they're currently pulling off, being the most used of the currently developed big desktop environments on Linux, right, and related systems, if they can pull all that off with this crazy tiny budget they have, and they're super frugal and they pinch their pennies, what could they do if you double or tripled their income? I would love to see that. And so I know that there's organizations and foundations and the like out there that are noble, that try their hardest, that maybe make some missteps or mistakes. Lord knows the GNOME Foundation has made their share of mistakes, and I've criticized them many times in the past. But they're obviously trying to do right by the people who donate to their foundation, to donate to their cause. And I respect that. I mean, I straight up fully respect that. And I'm going to keep looking into more organizations. I've got a few more in the pipe, and some of them are great, like GNOME, and some of them are sketchy as all heck, like Mozilla and Wikimedia and the Linux Foundation. And you know, in one sense, doing these financial deep dives is tremendously dull, right? Because, I mean, we're going through IRS filings for these organizations and companies and foundations and everything. And oh my gosh, is there anything more dull in life than pouring through 10 to 15 years of IRS records? Oh my heavens. It's ridiculous. It's mind-numbing. But on the same token, the results are fascinating. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea. Like, I knew there were issues with Wikipedia, right? I knew there were a lot of issues. There were complaints. There were editorial problems. I knew a lot of that. I had no clue how utterly deep the problems with their funding ran and how sketchy it got. Same with Mozilla, same with the Linux Foundation, and the more I dig into some other organizations as well, which we will see in the coming weeks, the more I realize that, you know, they're really not alone in being sketchy. And I'm going to get yelled at. I'm already getting plenty yelled at. The Wikimedia piece got posted to Hacker News and Reddit and all the usual places. And oh my word, did it get lambasted. This is a hit piece. This is a terrible hit piece. And this guy just doesn't like Wikimedia because of the color of the hair of the person that runs. It's like they just get pissed. They get really pissed. There are people that have a significant emotional investment in those organizations, right? And I kind of get that. There are times when I have had a real emotional positive investment in companies because whether I've worked for them or I just really liked what they did, or I like the people that worked there, or I like their style or something like that, or projects or the like. I understand that. And you get defensive. You get kind of tribalistic about it. It makes you feel very defensive when you feel like someone's attacking something that you feel fondness for, right? An organization, a company. I get it. I really, really do. And so I'm watching it, and people will attack me on political grounds, mostly it's that I say something negative, right? Like I saw one comment, and this is my favorite. I should have had it up so I could quote it verbatim, but what it roughly said was this. The guy was mad at me. He said I wrote a hit piece, right? The Wikimedia, the Wiki Piggy Bank article was a hit piece. And he says, yeah, maybe they could spend their money on the Wikipedia directly a little bit more. And sure, maybe a little more transparency is good. But, this is a hit piece. Why would you do that? Why not just ignore it? It was basically what he said. He's like, we knew that this was a problem, so why even say it? Why even talk about it? Why talk about why this is a problem? Because I felt like I knew that this was a problem. I'm like, wow, okay. I don't know. That's just there's a lot of points to be made there, I guess. But moving on, and so I've got a couple more of these articles coming out. And I'm going to spread them out so we don't just bombard everyone with it. Well, I'm going to spread it out for your sanity and for mine, in part because reading nonstop barrages of financial disclosures and financial analyses, that's going to get tiresome after a while. But I guess more to the point, I need to protect my sanity because, I'm working on two of them right now in particular, and I've got a long ways to go on both of them. And so they won't be coming out this week. It might maybe one of them the week after that or the week after that. But I'm just going to kind of spread them out every couple of weeks. I'll have another one of these for a little while because we need to hold these organizations accountable. And even more than that, even if these organizations do not change their ways, people need to know what they're donating to, right? Like, people know if they drop a couple of dollars in the Lunduke Journal hat, those couple of dollars help fund the Lunduke Journal. They put food into my mouth, and they buy my equipment, and they pay for the services I need in order to make the shows and the articles and everything else. They feed me while I'm doing all this stuff, right? So every dime of it's going into the Lunduke Journal. It's good to know when you're putting your money in somewhere what that money is doing. Like, you deserve to know that, right? Like, if you buy a video game, you can have reasonable certainty that your money is either going to an update for that video game or maybe a different video game the same company is making, right? Like, you can be reasonably certain it's going to be video game related. When you donate to Wikipedia, honestly, at this point, you can be reasonably certain your money is going to, I don't know, a political action committee that you aren't allowed to learn about. Like, that's even the weirdest part. You're not even allowed to know. And if it's the Linux Foundation, like, it's some social causes that they came up with on the spot. Like, you don't really even know what those will be. If you donate it to Mozilla, it's the same sort of deal. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not cool. I want to know. You know what I mean? I want to know. So that's a big motivating factor for getting these out there. And I'm going to keep on publishing them as long as you guys keep liking them and keep giving me the thumbs up on them. I'm going to spread them out because they take a lot of like mental and emotional energy to do, just because they're so exhausting to go through them, because I want to make sure I get it right. Like you'll notice I like the Wikimedia one originally was a bit longer than the article I published. I went into the funding of the CEO and the executive team, which, by the way, the Wikimedia executive team isn't as wildly paid as, say, Mozilla. Mozilla, like the CEO earned, was it $5 million plus in a year? The CEO, the head of Wikimedia, I want to say it was around 700 something thousand, something like that. I mean, still a lot, but not as exorbitant, right? But still a heck of a lot, considering that it's Wikipedia. It just doesn't seem like their CEO should be earning $700K a year. I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. That seems a bit much to me, but it's not as exorbitant, at least, as Mozilla. But so I had a lot of those details in there. One of the other details that I thought was kind of interesting was, as I was pouring through the grants from Wikimedia that all came from Wikipedia donations, went all over the map. I mean, there were organizations I both thought were sketchy and too political, and there were organizations that I liked. Like, in general, I like the Software Freedom Conservancy because they do provide a lot of good legal counsel and like systems and financial support for a ton of free software and open source projects, like a huge amount. In fact, the Software Freedom Conservancy is the largest free software advocacy organization on Earth, right? They're by a ton, more so than the Free Software Foundation. They bring in more money, they help more projects. Excuse me. They do a ton. I have had some disagreements with the people that run the Conservancy over the years, though at least one of them is a great dude, but I've had some disagreements, but overall they do good stuff. And Wikimedia in 2021 gave, I want to say it was like, I don't have the number in front of me, I want to say it was like $50,000 or something like that to Software Freedom Conservancy. And they do not say what for. The Wikimedia does this weird thing where the reason for all of their grants is just basically to further the cause, right? It's very, everything is just so nebulous and not transparent. So the initial draft of the article, I went through a ton of those grants because some of them were weird. Some of them actually could have made sense. Like one of them was a grant to an organization that did translations. Like it was basically just saying, hey, you go do more translations. And I'm like, okay, it was translations for Wikipedia, right? That was like one of the few things where I was like, yes, there, that's a thing. That's a thing that you could do that helped Wikipedia. It was the rarity, it was the exception, but it was a thing. And so it's just so rare that you could find anything that the Wikimedia Foundation does that helps Wikipedia. And so like originally I went through all that and all the grants and showed all the different organizations that they funded that were really sketchy and all sorts of stuff. But I ended up taking it all out because the article got so long and into the weeds, and it kind of took away from the core message. And that message being when you give them money for Wikipedia, it goes somewhere else. And it is not neutral. And that really is a pretty common theme among those big organizations. The money gets taken from you, or you give it to them for one purpose. Instead of being used for that purpose, it gets put into other purposes. Instead of funding X like you intended, it funds Y and Z. And Y and Z are very political causes. The Linux Foundation does this, Mozilla does this, Wikimedia does this. It's just time and time again. There's a repeating pattern. The way you describe it to people, oftentimes people go say things like, well, that sounds a bit like money laundering. It's, a bit. It has some similarities. Not exactly. But no matter what, it's sketchy. You know what I mean? I don't love that. No matter what those Y and Z political causes are, they could literally be the everybody tell Lunduke that he smells nice today political action committee. And I would still be opposed to that. I mean, I would agree. I smell nice today. Smell nicer today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I did not smell great. Today I smell pretty good. So I'm on board with that. But it's still not worth taking money away from, say, building a web browser so that we can tell Lunduke he smells nice. You know what I mean? Anyway. Thanks for hanging out with me today, everybody. We got a lot more stuff in store this week. We got more podcasts. We got more articles. We got some weird history articles coming through. A lot of funky anecdotes that that people just I don't know, either have never quite known in our common vernacular, or as part of our collective consciousness, we have simply forgotten some cool bits of computer history that we'll be talking about over the course of the week. In fact, we're going to do an entire podcast episode around stuff that's happened this week throughout computer history, because there's actually a lot of pretty fun stuff. All right, everybody. With that, I do declare BTW, I run Arch. See you later, everybody.